Is this movie going to drop the mic? Is it going to drop it like it's hot?
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Or is it going to drop like the Tower of Terror? Stay tuned to find out. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or depending on what time you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I just got out of a screening of Drop, the newest suspense thriller from Universal Studios, as well as a co-collaboration between Platinum Dunes, Michael Bay's company, as well as Blumhouse. Which, first off, have they ever worked together before? They probably have. I just feel like I can't think of anything that comes to mind. If not, I mean, they should totally do more movies together. I mean, what an interesting pairing. Michael Bay, Jason Blum, hell yeah. And this movie is directed by Christopher Landon, who, if you're not familiar with his work, he is a familiar face with Blumhouse and Universal Studios, as he has done the Happy Death Day movies, Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You, which, by the way, if a higher up from Universal or Blumhouse is watching this, please make the third Happy Death Day movie. I've been waiting since the second one came out. Please finish it. But he also did the solid horror comedy Freaky, which came out in 2020. But what I've always liked about Christopher Landon is his style. At least everything that I've seen from him as a director always has some type of comedy in it. Now, Drop isn't necessarily like laugh out loud funny like Happy Death Day kind of was, and Freaky definitely delved into the horror comedy aspect a bit more. Drop doesn't necessarily do that too much, but there are those little moments here or there where there is some comic relief. And I gotta say, for a movie that's about two people basically sitting at a table talking, it's definitely needed. Not to say that the tension wasn't there, because it definitely was. Now, this movie is definitely not horror. It's more of a solid thriller suspense, I would say, where you have this situation and you have to see how our main protagonist is going to handle that situation, and then what is the payoff going to be. I thought this seemed like a very well done modern take, kind of a Hitchcockian thriller, with that Christopher Landon type of humor mixed in throughout the movie. Now, one of the things that Christopher Landon also does very, very well is having a strong female lead. He did it with the Happy Death Day movies, he did it in Freaky, even though it was more Vince Vaughn playing a girl. And we see the same thing in Drop. We have a pretty strong female lead, played by Megan Fahey, who's somebody that I'm not too familiar with, but I thought she did a really, really good job in this movie. We are kind of in her point of view throughout the whole movie and everything that is happening. It's her character having to kind of deal with the situation. And there's a lot of like awkwardness that comes into essentially what the movie is called. It's called Drop. It's basically a take on like Airdrop. It's a fictionalized version of that. They call it Digidrop. So it's an interesting idea. I kind of like where they went with that, where they're taking this kind of like modern technology and they're kind of flipping it into a horror thriller idea. But ultimately, our main character is a very well-written, strong female lead. And it's kind of a shame to think what could have been if Christopher Landon did not leave Scream 7, just knowing how well he takes care of strong female characters. It would have been an interesting world to have seen what that Scream 7 movie would have been with him under the helm. But what can you do? So Kevin Williamson, it's all on you, buddy. And to round out our cast, well, she can't be going on a date alone. So who she's going on a date with? It's a character named Henry, played by Brendan Sklar, I believe is his name. I'm also not very familiar with him. I know he's in one of those Yellowstone shows. That's the only thing I can think of right now. But he was really good. I really believed him as this single guy struggling with dating, and just the way he was acting at the table, I found him very believable. He did a good job. I could totally see him in more movies down the road. And then we have our main character, Violet's sister, whose character's name is Jen, who's played by not Heliar, but an actress named Violet Bean. And then there is Violet's son, Toby. So if you've seen the trailer, then you kind of already know that part of this movie is about some guy at their house threatening the sister and her son. And of course, the son is in danger. And just watching this little kid, I was just thinking, like, who could try to kill this kid? This kid was adorable. How could somebody in their right mind, well, I guess they're not in their right mind, but how could somebody kill this kid? He was just so darn cute. Now, I will say the big reveal isn't going to be anything crazy, but it will keep you guessing throughout the movie. And that's what I really do appreciate about it. You know, it does take its time. We are pretty much in this setting, in this restaurant for most of the movie. We do see little flashes here and there of like other things. And even the opening of this movie is very interesting, because I thought they were showing the end of the movie, which I was kind of like, all right, they're showing the end of the movie. They'll obviously get back to this in the actual end of the movie, but they kind of flipped that on its head, and what we're actually seeing in the opening scene isn't the end of the movie, and I thought that was really clever. The last thing I want to talk about is the visual look of this movie. Now, as I mentioned, this movie takes place essentially in one setting. It's in this fancy restaurant, and of course, a movie taking place in a restaurant where two people are talking can be very tricky to do. It can be hard to keep an audience engaged, but this movie does a very good job with it. Now, one of the big things is how the bad guy is communicating with our main character, Violet, is basically through drops and through texting. And they do that thing where when she gets a text, you see the text on screen, which we've seen in movies before, and some people might think, yeah, that's kind of boring when you just see the text on screen. But I really liked how they actually visually portrayed the text. It seemed like the shot composition was specifically set up to have the text showing in this specific area of the frame. I liked how they did that. So good job, Christopher Landon and crew. But anyways, that's my take on Drop. It's ultimately a fun, simplistic, modern Hitchcockian style thriller with a little bit of humor mixed in here and there. Good job, Universal. And again, Universal, Blumhouse. If somebody out there, here's my message. Please, please, I beg of you, make Happy Death Day 3. That's all I want. All right.
See you, chump.